So we're here practicing yin, as you know, and we're moving towards the solstice, which is happening this weekend. And so we are at the ultimate yin time of the year. This is the yin within the yin, okay? This is deep, earthy, feminine. It's all of the stuff that makes yin so beautiful and so effective and so powerful. And we're basking, we're bathing in it at the moment. So I wanted to offer that theme to you for tonight's practice. So a very gentle, earthy, low down, lots of stillness, lots of quiet, so that you can nourish and embrace the yin within yourself. And we want to be sleeping lots, as much as we can. So early nights galore at the moment. Get the hours in and let you nourish the yin that resides within your own body when you rest, basically. So resting, yin yoga, sleeping, just staying in and not being so busy, all of those kinds of things just help to nourish the yin qualities and prepare us for the spring, that once we've had the solstice this weekend and we start to move gently towards the light, then we'll be ready for it when it comes. Okay, so to offer that within ourselves, you're lying or you're sitting. You're closing down your eyes, you're relaxing and resting your arms and your hands wherever feels right for you. You're going to think about taking a deep breath in, opening your mouth, and with a little bit of sound, sighing the breath out. And again, breathing in and out. And one more time, breathing in, breathing out. Just finding now a gentle rhythm to the breath as it moves in and it moves out. Releasing the shoulders, starting to relax the skin. So you might notice this with any exposed skin, first of all, the face, the hands, anywhere else on your body where you notice your skin. Feel like the external edges of your body are softening. Below your skin is the first kind of fascial bag in which we live in. So imagine this as a crepe bag just beneath your skin, and start to relax the bag that your body sits in. And then go deeper and think about your muscles, the next layer down, and rest and relax and release the muscles. That might be the muscles in the jaw, your chewing muscles. It might be those at the chest or the belly. Perhaps it's the muscles of the legs, those that we worked really well on Tuesday. And then go a little bit deeper again. This time think about the torso, think about your organs. They're wrapped by muscles often, they're held secure. Relax the heart, the lungs, the liver, the spleen, the stomach, the large intestine, the small intestine. Release your reproductive organs. Release the kidneys, relax the bladder. Just let it all go. And then think about the blood vessels. Relax the arteries, the veins, the capillaries. And then we get deeper, deep into the most yin tissues of all, the yin within the yin of the body. We get to the bones. The bones are your yin tissue. They are dense. Although I know lots of the bones have little holes in and porous parts, but ultimately they are the thickest, the strongest, the most stable parts of your body. That's your yin within your yin. Relax your bones. Take another breath in and another breath out. Again, breathing in. And as you think about the bones, remember their connection to the kidneys. Remember the connection of the kidneys to the water element. Remember the kidneys' connection of water, bones, and to the moon, and to the cycles of day and night, and how it responds well to rest, to stillness, and to slow held practices. That's what we're offering tonight in our yin. You're going to take one last breath here. We're going to stay with the connection of the bones. We're going to stay deep into the body. But I want you to change your position now slightly. So you're going to either release your seated position, or you're going to come up into a seat if you were lying, if you were resting your bones. And you're going to take a couple of cushions or your bolster or whatever. You don't actually have to have anything at all. You could just use the ground. But I'm asking you to take your knees really wide, to sit your bottom back towards your heels, and then to let yourself just slowly and gently surrender towards the ground. And this isn't an attempt to get as close to the ground as possible, and nor is it an attempt to create really deep sensation in the knees or the hips. But instead, it's this gentle giving of our body weight towards the earth. And that's where we want to go. We want to just drape the body downwards. If we are using cushions, then let the cushions or the bolster take the weight of your bones. Find the place where not necessarily you can be as easy as possible, although we don't mind a little bit of ease. And nor do you want to be as soft as possible, but again, we don't mind the softness. But instead, what we're ultimately looking for is stillness. Can you find a position that allows you to remain as still as possible for the next period of time? And in that period of time, we just patiently wait. Not because we want to get anywhere, because there's nowhere to be. But when we're deep within the yin, it's almost like a hibernation state is reached. We press the pause button without any expectation, without any destination, but instead about being here with the sensations as they arise in your body. And they might come and they might go, they might change, it's fine. but you're present for them, you're still enough for them that you notice them. Because when we keep fidgeting, when we move, when we scratch the itch on the tip of the nose, then everything along those lines is simply a distraction. So you've got to resist it. You've got to become the yin within the yin. Take one last breath here, please. And before you emerge from this position, think about how you'd like to come out and what neutral position you would like to come into. It might be that you simply come forwards and extend the legs out and find an easy place to be on your front. You might decide to lay on your back, you might want to come back up to sit. It honestly doesn't matter, but just honour what your body needs. Find the stillness again as quickly as possible, so as little fidgeting as possible. This isn't a criticism, by the way, so if you do need to move, you move, all right? Just ignore me. But if you can come to stillness and not wriggle around too much so that you notice the sensations as they arise, these ones are just as important, if not more so. Where are you feeling? What are you feeling? How is your body changing subtly now that you've come back to neutral? Okay, so remember, just visualize at the moment. Think about the bones in your legs. Think about your thigh bones. The longest bones in your body. Probably the thickest, maybe the strongest, some of the strongest bones. Anyway, strongest bone of your body is actually in your heel. But nevertheless, we'll worry about the thigh bones for now. And think about the shape of the thigh bone. It's very long. It has the kind of knobbly sections either end that form the joints of the knee and the greater trochanter, which goes into the hip socket. Think about that bone. It is not straight. No one's thigh bones are straight. They're curved. They're slightly twisted, some very much, some not so much. but there's no straight, there's no sharp edges, there's no corners. They're rounded, they're spiraling, they are gently bent to absorb the weight of your body. And so that's what we're going to mimic in the next pose, just staying with this mindset of getting deep into our bones for our practice. So you're going to come up to sit, and you're going to stagger your legs to one side, so you've got just one leg draped over the other. Now, what position the feet and the legs are in is entirely up to you. They could be that one leg is in front of the other because that might feel more comfortable for you. They could be really close and tucked in, or they could be separated and sort of spread more apart. You maybe can do this without your bolster or cushions. You can do it with, it's totally up to you. But you're going to wedge the cushion into the side of your hip, and then you are thinking about the spiraling effect, because that's happening now. It's the bones of your thighs, you're kind of mimicking the spiral through the legs. And then you're going to keep that spiral as you turn, and you're going to turn your tummy button towards the ground, and you're going to lay your spine along the mat or along your props, and maybe you turn your head in the opposite direction to the knees, but if that's too strong, you're going to keep your head facing the same way as the knees are. Okay, so we're coming into a very spiraled, lengthened shape for your body. Twisting tiger, or deer variation as it's more commonly known at the moment, but it doesn't matter what they're called, they're just a shape. And everybody's shape and everybody's experience of being here is ultimately decided by the shape of your own bones. And your bones are entirely unique to you. No one else has the same shape, has the same length, has the same size. Even your right thigh bone is different to your left. It's a big misconception that we are this symmetrical, picture perfect representation of bones and muscles and blood vessels. We're so richly complicated and complex that when we dig into the body, it looks like a mess. It's really difficult. So what we see in the picture books is a very simplified version of what actually is going on inside. But right now, and for the next little bit of time that you're going to spend here, can you think about how your body is spiraling like a corkscrew? And trace all of those beautiful curves. And you can do the same as what we did right at the beginning, where we thought about the body on the external layers and we went through down into the internal. Enjoying the shape of your body. Breathing and exploring these shapes. Taking 1 or 2 more breaths here as you are. Okay. So we'll transition straight onto the other side. So you have a choice. You could come back upright, keep everything, all the props if you're using them in the same orientation, and just turn your own self. Or if you weren't using any props, you can come from one end and literally just sweep your legs around and have a different orientation in the room that you're in, and spin yourself around to the other end of your mat as you take this spiraled shape for your spine. Try and find some length for your bones by creating these shapes, by creating stresses in the form of stretches. We help to strengthen the bones. And it is these long held yin-like shapes that create the stresses that the bones need. That's not to say that we don't need to walk or run or do weight-bearing exercises in other modalities. We do. The bones and the body needs variety. But it is these long-held stretches, this long-held tension, that creates a different kind of strength and stamina for the bones. That we don't really get anywhere else. Now the irony is, when we are very still for a long amount of time, let's say you sat in a cinema chair watching a film and you stayed perfectly still for 2 hours, have you practiced yin? Well, maybe a little form of it, a version of it. The problem with it is that it's just been one position for 2 hours rather than a variety. And the other problem with it is that there hasn't been enough stresses, because when you're in that chair you're completely relaxed and there's not really a lot happening. You're just staying in the same shape. Nothing wrong with that per se, but when we come into this kind of practice, we come with intention. We move the body in a variety of ways, and we create stresses on parts of the body that maybe we wouldn't do sitting in a chair for 2 hours. Keep enjoying the length. Keep enjoying the gentle pull of the bones. Keep enjoying the visualization of the bones spinning, spiraling. Take your last breath here, please. And just like you did before, think about coming out with softness, with support, with lifting yourself gently and unspiraling, unwinding, and maybe coming into neutral, which means lying on your back. Maybe it's something else, and just resting and watching, being patient, without judgment. Okay, so take your time, gently roll to the side or come round some way up to a seated position. I wanted to work the sides of the body next. So you're going to need your bolster or your cushion or a rolled up blanket, something along those lines. So I'm just throwing the debris of whatever that was. And you might want a blanket, and you might want something that sort of resembles a height. It could be a book, it could be a can of beans, it doesn't matter what it is. And basically you're going to come into a side bend, so it's sort of mimicking a little bit of what we've already done, but without the twist. This is more linear into the side of your body. So we're going to lay with the bolster underneath the side of the waist, just wherever feels comfortable. The legs are kind of staggered, a bit like they have been already tonight. And you can work towards straightening the top leg to get even more length. This arm and the shoulder need to come down to the floor. The head also needs to rest on something. So we've got quite a long kind of side bend happening. If your hip lifts, so this is your bottom hip, if it lifts off of the floor, put something underneath it like a cushion or a blanket. And then your top arm cartwheels over the top, and maybe this is where you find something to rest it on. The brick, a stool, it doesn't matter what it is, a water bottle. But just notice how I'm creating lots of lovely length on this top side of my body, but the bottom side of the body that's closest to the ground is utterly held and supported. I'm not letting anything feel vulnerable. I'm putting plenty of props, cushions, blankets underneath everywhere. I might even roll this blanket up actually into a little bit of a sausage and kind of wedge it into the side of my neck, so that feels quite nice there, so it doesn't feel like my neck is just hanging in midair. We're not going to do any breath awareness like we often do when we're in this pose, but instead it's going back to the bones being heavy, so this deep heaviness, this deep sense of release and surrender as your bones find the ground, as your body feels held by the support beneath it. And as you experience this lovely length, I just dare I say it's one of my favourite poses. Don't practice this one enough, however. But yeah, this one's definitely one of my faves. While I leave you here to marinade in this beautiful stretch, just slowly lengthen the breath and slow everything down, all of your awareness, your mental activity. If your top arm should get tired, either rest it down along the side of your body, or you can put your hand on the side of the ribs and just let the elbow fall back slightly. Or another option is just to drape the arm around the back of the waist. So loads and loads of options. Please feel free to play with the top arm should you experience any discomfort there. So let's take maybe just a couple of breaths again. Think about coming forwards a little bit and maybe using your hand to support you however you might need it to help you get up and away from the ground. Take a breath here. Then it's the second side before we take a longer rest. So maybe just spinning yourself around if you've got lots of props set up, so that then you can come down onto the other side whenever you're ready. So, remember the top leg can stay bent or it can gently extend away. It doesn't have to be fully stretched. The knee doesn't have to lock out or anything. And you can put the bottom leg underneath it and have the bottom foot as a bit of a support for the knee. Think about the length along the top edge of your body. And remember how when we pull on our yin tissues, I know we've talked a bit about the bones so far tonight, but our yin tissues are also the fascia because of the way the fascia moves and the way that it's nourished. It doesn't have a blood supply. It's not plump and juicy like your muscles are, but instead it's made of water. Basically, it's like a very thick gel-like water state that's held in these strands, and the strands are interchangeable. You move them with your fingertip and they'll change shape. It's fascinating to watch them. But nevertheless, they move very slowly. They respond best to slowness. Just like your bones grow slowly. They change slowly. And once we get through those initial years of our life and we've hit puberty, your bones are pretty much set in the position and the shape that they will remain in for the rest of your life. When you're very young, that's the opportunity to change the shape of your bones away from the shape that you were born with, what you inherited from your parents. But once you've gone through puberty, that's it. They're solid, they stiffen up, they harden, and they stay the same. The bones don't change. They start to wear out, and they start to thin, but that's later. Nevertheless, they are our yin, most yin-like tissues because they're very deep in the body. The fascia wraps around the bones and it protects them. And so when we pull and stretch the muscles in the way that you are, in the shapes that you are creating, in this beautiful lengthening sensation, yes, you're changing your muscle shape. Yes, you're stretching your nerves, you're stretching your blood vessels, everything is moving. But it's the slowness, it's the stillness that mostly benefits the fascia, and it's the fascia which pulls on the bones that it wraps around like cling film. And that's how you initiate change in your body. And it's also how you release long-held patterns, repetitions. When we start to let go of things that we've held on to for a long time, those yin-like thoughts and behaviours, when we start to release them, that's when we open up the possibility for something new to happen, for change to occur. Because even though we're in this yin-like yin time of the year, the yin within the yin, this deep yin, always within the yin, the deepest, darkest moments, the most still, there is always just a microscopic spark of yang. Because yin will always give way to yang. It's always transforming, nothing stays the same. It's only the solstice for 24 hours. That longest night, and then the yin gives way to the yang, and the light gradually returns day by day. The day gets longer, the nights get shorter. The same happens as winter turns into spring. And the same happens within our own bodies and the transformation that occurs through us, not only in our lifetimes, but also on a daily basis. Take one more breath here. Well done. Let's slowly think about releasing this shape, finding your neutral. It might be that you take your little bit of support underneath the backs of the legs now, and you ease yourself down and you take a little bit of a rest. Okay, so take one more breath here. Okay, so you are then going to come into a seated position, and we're going to explore our last shape of the night, which is a reclining butterfly. Of course, you can do this with the feet flat, you can do this with the legs straight, you could do it with a cross-legged position if you wanted to. So it doesn't matter where the legs go. I've got the soles of my feet together and the knees opening out to the sides. And if you need to, you could grab something like a cushion or something to rest the thighs onto if they feel that they need a bit of support. Notice I've got my bolster behind me. It could be that you've got a couple of cushions off of your bed or whatever that feels necessary, and you're lying down. Now I'm using this to create a back bend. This is great for stimulating the kidney region and opening the chest, so it's a great alleviator of kind of posture, of the way we kind of shape our bodies during the day. But if you feel this is too strong, you can just lie on something a bit more gentle, or you could just lie flat on the floor. Lying flat like this with the knees in this position gives you a little bit of a back bend regardless of whether there's support there or not. Make sure the head feels heavy, comfortable, doesn't feel like it's going to fall off of the end of the neck. And if you need some extra height underneath the head, take it please. And just give yourself some time to settle, to work out what variation of this shape works well for you. Lovely. Every time you practice your yoga, your experience is different. It's unique from all the other times that you have practiced. You may still be enjoying the same poses, and you may still be practicing on the same mat and in the same place. But consider the fact that we grow, we change as individuals every day and in every moment. Transformation is key. Transformation means life is happening. Transformation occurs in every single breath that you take. This means that everything is somewhat new each time that we do it, including our yoga practice. And over time you might fall in love with a particular pose, or a style, or a sequence. And then you may fall out of love with it again. You may be drawn to an intense or physically demanding practice, and then your tastes may shift, and you prefer a more restorative practice, a more yin-like practice. Just like you, your yoga practice can fluctuate, can grow, change in surprising ways over time. Think about that in relation to this pose. If you are familiar with this pose, if you're not so familiar with this pose, then pick a pose that you have practiced recently, that you are more familiar with. And think about how it feels to be in the shape tonight or recently. Is it one you relish and look forward to? Or one that you have moved away from for whatever reason? This is happening all of the time. The transitions between one state of being and the next. Nothing stays the same, not even the yin. This is why we have to keep coming back to this practice to remind ourselves that it is here. Because transformation is always taking place, and transformation has the tendency to be very yang-like. You're going to take one more breath here. Please don't disturb yourself too much, but whenever and however you like, be careful as you come out, but slowly lift, take out anything from underneath you, and come to your final rest, final shavasana for tonight. If you need to take some soft movements, please do. But likewise, if you're able to come into something that resembles stillness, offer that to your body for this final few moments of our practice. So we embrace the yin, not only this time of the year, but this time of the day. This is not the time of day to go to the gym or to practice a HIIT workout. This is the time of the day for slowness, for stillness, for a bit of introspection. The length of a day, the span of a year, the duration of a life, the blossoming and the decay of a flower. Your yoga practice can mirror the rhythm of these cyclical natural phenomena. Shavasana encompasses this. Yin reminds us of this phase. When we release our bodies into the ground, we acknowledge now that everything is born, everything lives, and everything passes away. When we take this rest, we acknowledge nature's processes and join in more fully. We become one with nature through this ritual. We acknowledge the rise and fall of life and its brevity, its beauty. Each yoga practice is like living a life and completing a cycle. At the end, we rest. In this yin phase of the year, we rest. We encourage the stillness. We complete the cycle. Then we will be ready for the next cycle to begin. Taking another breath in and another breath out. Slowly wiggle fingers and toes as you prepare yourself gently for coming out and back. Slowly, gently, don't need to wake yourself up too much, but when you are ready, making your way around and up into a seated place. Good. Take your shoulders up and back and down. Turn your palms up to uplift and up to receive. Close down the eyes. Relax your jaw and soften the muscles of your face. Smooth the skin across your forehead. Take a few soft breaths in and out, acknowledging the journey of your practice tonight, the unique cycle that has happened in these 60 minutes. Set the intention to stay yin side. Stay quiet, stay soft, and just ease yourself into a very restful, very peaceful rest of the evening, potentially a whole night of deep sleep. You're then going to finish, we will finish together. Let's take the fingertips out to the sides, and on an inhale, slowly raise the arms up above your head. Not too much effort here, just this kind of acknowledgement of the cycle, the palms meet and the hands gently drifting down to your heart. Relax shoulders, soften the jaw, bow the head as the mind bows in reverence to the heart. Take another breath in, a breath out, and then I'll finish with namaste to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for coming to practice together this evening. Well done.